So I'm 47 years old, but my epigenetic age, which is sort of a genetic marker for your age, is 30. So I'm 17 years younger genetically.
What is the epigenetic age?
So, you have your DNA, your genetics. Epigenetics, we've kind of learned more recently, is the set of rules that determine which of your genes are on or off, right? Because just because you have a certain gene doesn't mean it's doing anything. The gene actually has to be encoding for a protein or not encoding, right? And so this is how complex this stuff is, right? We thought, oh, we figured out the human genome. We figured it out. And someone's like, nope. There's actually a whole other set of genetics we call epigenetics, which is the genetics on top of your genetics. That's even maybe more important because it's going to determine if your genes express themselves or don't express themselves. So we use epigenetic age as a mark, because as you age, your epigenetics gets worse, right? Your body's ability to regulate which genes turn on and off kind of gets worse.
Right.
So they've learned to use it as a marker for your sort of general age, right? Because they can kind of see that as you age, your epigenetic health gets worse.
Gotcha.
And they can kind of track different people. So for me, my epigenetic age is, 17 years younger than my chronological age.
Do they measure it using just like a blood report?
Yeah, like a little blood prick, a little finger prick, and they can do it. Yeah, you can buy these tests and do them online.
Is this where technology has reached? Is this the edge of technology when it comes to genetic technology?
This is sort of the best we know right now. We always discover something and we think we've figured everything out. Then it turns out there's a whole bunch more stuff that we don't even understand.
Right.
I think epigenetics are super important because we don't necessarily have to genetically re-engineer you. We can sort of decide which genes we want to turn on and which genes we want to turn off. And epigenetics is actually, it's kind of wild. So, your genes are passed down from parent to children, right? And we generally think you can't change your genetics. I mean, we can with CRISPR technology and stuff like that, but just naturally speaking, you can't really change your genetics, but you can change your epigenetics. Your lifestyle actually impacts your epigenetics. So if you smoke, if you drink, if you don't sleep, if you don't exercise, your epigenetics get worse, okay? And not only can you influence your gene expression in your life, you actually pass those on. So if you smoke cigarettes and that makes your epigenetics worse, you pass that on to your kid. And they have to then change their lifestyle to try and reverse the damage that you've done to your epigenetic system. So epigenetics is interesting because it's both passed on, it's hereditary, but it's also influenced within your own life based on your lifestyle.
Gotcha. When I'm thinking of genetics, I'm thinking of those DNA strands that contain all the data about
That's right. Yeah.
So all the ancestors that made you up, you have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 16 great-grandparents, and then the list keeps going on.
Yep. All their behaviors inside your genes.
Yeah. There's some memory of your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother and great-great-great-great-grandfather somewhere inside your cells.
Yep.
But there's a part of that same DNA strand that gets altered based on your own life and your own decisions.
Yeah.
And that's what epigenetics is about.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying that your lifestyle can alter your epigenetic profile?
Yep.
So if you smoke and drink, traditionally, drinking harms your liver.
Yep.
Smoking harms your lungs and your heart.
Yep.
Right? But you're saying there's a deeper form of damage where you can literally damage your DNA strand.
Yeah. You're damaging which genes get expressed and which genes don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if both my parents were chain smokers before I was born, and they'd been chain smokers for 20 years before I was born, maybe something bad like a lung cancer might express itself in me even if I have never smoked cigarettes.
That's right.
That's a little up.
Yeah. In fact, like some of the things they can show is that if you influence like a mouse's epigenetics by starving them, for example, okay, that will influence that mouse's epigenetics in its lifetime. And it'll pass that down for 5 or 6 generations, right? So the behavior of your ancestors, not just the genes themselves, but their actual lifestyle behavior is being passed down generation after generation. If you want to, this is probably the only good definition of generational trauma,
right?
is the bad stuff that your ancestors had to go through is actually being passed down to you. But you can change it. You can improve these things with lifestyle as well. Eating right, sleeping, exercise, those things improve your epigenetic health. That's why you can test your epigenetic health and actually watch yourself become epigenetically younger or epigenetically older. You know,
what actions can you take to affect it positively?
So it's all the things you already know about. The most important thing is probably sleep, getting a lot of sleep. And, you know, we live in this grind culture where people think that, you know, I'll sleep 4 hours instead of 8 hours. Sleep has a literal impact on your epigenetic health because gene repair is happening, epigenetic repair is happening while you sleep. You know, I kind of think of sleep as, people think of it as the opposite of being awake. I don't think of it as the opposite of being awake. I think it's the complement of being awake, okay? It's like a trance that you put yourself into because, you know, there's a stage in your sleep where your body is paralyzed, right? And the reason that your body is paralyzed at some stages in your sleep is because there's repair happening inside your cells. And if you weren't paralyzed, you'd start twitching and flailing around and fall out of the bed and hit yourself or something like that. So you have to sort of go into this trance so your body can heal itself, right? So if you're not getting enough time in that state, your body just doesn't have a chance to heal itself. And because of the food that you eat, the molecules in the food that you eat, your body uses to make those epigenetic repairs. So with epigenetics, there's these little molecules that are surrounding your DNA. And you know, this gets into some cool physics. Based on electromagnetism, basically, those molecules that wrap around a gene, for example, will cause the gene to either open up or close, okay? And so you need the sleep, you need the diet to give you the ingredients, the molecules, right? Then you need the sleep so that it can take those molecules and go wrap them around your DNA where they're supposed to be so your genes are healthy. Right? So diet, sleep, and exercise, I think, are probably the biggest things you can do. And the thing is, we already know them, right? You can do the gene therapy and stuff like that, and that helps. But I usually tell people, like, hey, if you're somebody's like, hey, I'm thinking of doing hormone therapy and start taking testosterone. And I'm like, well, are you sleeping? Are you eating right? Are you getting exercise? Because if you're not doing those things, don't just go start injecting yourself with testosterone, right? First do those things, and then if you want to do the testosterone, do it. But always make sure you got the base down, you know?
So is it fair to say that someone who's taking care of themselves, sleeping well, exercising, eating clean, they probably have a better epigenetic age than the physical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's something I heard on Joe Rogan's podcast once where they said that a man's life will eventually show up on his face at some point.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good way to say it. I like that.
Right? You also end up meeting people who look way younger than their physical age. And when you get to know about them, they're usually just happier people. They've taken care of their physical health, their mental health, etc. There's people whose looks, the quote-unquote looks, fade away in their 40s.
Yeah.
There's a word in India called tej, which it means like the shine on someone's face.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like kind of like aura.
Sure.
And you see the tej going away.
Yeah.
In my eyes, that's definitely an outcome of a degradation of physical and mental health.
Yeah.
But also the epigenetic age being worse than the physical age.
That's right.
So when someone smokes a lot or drinks a lot, you end up starting to see it on their face a little bit.
That's right. Yeah.
But we're also talking about epigenetics here, other than liver health and like gut health.
Well, yeah, because, you know, the way the cells on your face appear is based on what the genes are telling them to do, right? So are you producing collagen in your skin, right? That's your genes are telling you to either produce collagen or don't produce collagen. So your epigenetics are really determining a lot of that. There's another way people say it is that the body keeps score. Your body always keeps the score of what you're doing. You can't get away from it. You know, it always knows the score.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic as long as you're willing to search for it.